Hello guys, in some rare occasions you might find yourself you want to override Observer or a plugin simply by changing the behavior of plugin or just extend it to further in functionality. So how do we override observers or plugins? In some occasions you just want to plug in write plugin or write observer to make some extra functionality, but in some other occasions or very rare situations where you find yourself you want to tweak some observers and that those observers are core or from third-party modules. So you want to make changes to those observers by simply overriding them rather than creating a new observers to add extra functionality to it. So how do we do this? How do we override observers or plugins? I'm going to demonstrate how to override a observer, but that will be also applicable for the plugins. So whatever I do here for the observers, they will be also applicable for a plugin, and whatever you do for observers, or because they both are managed from configuration files, which is events or di XML file. So let's go ahead and try to find an observer to override and then see the technique how to override that observer. So basically I'm going to override observer inside the customer module. So if I go to vendor Magento and then I'll go to customer module, inside the customer module I will go to the observer and I will find a simple observer to demonstrate with login as a success. So customer login success observer. I will just copy this observer and then I'll go to my module. I've just created a module with just module XML and registration file. So I will just copy and paste this observer into this module. So I will type observer here. I'll create a directory and then copy and paste the observer from Magento core. The only thing I need to change here is training, the namespace, and then override observer. So hopefully this is, yeah, so training, override observer. I only changed the namespace and that's our observer that we need to override. The other thing I need to do is I will copy the event configuration file from the front end, and then there is event. So events.xml, I just copy it, and then here I will just create a new directory called front end inside etc, and then paste the events here. The event I'm interested in is customer authenticated, and I'm looking at this observer to override. So I will delete this observer, it's customer password. So I will delete this, and then I will delete all events here I don't need, and I'm left with this observer. So the first thing I need to do here is I want to replace this observer with my observer that is I extended from Magento core, from the Magento customer module. So how I'm going to do this is by simply just duplicate the line, and then here I will type it as training customer unlock, and then here I will type training and then override observer module. So I just changed the namespace in, and now when I log in I will get those both observers to trigger. So this will be triggered and this will be triggered. Since we are extending this core observer by creating our own or simply just copy and paste it, then we only need our own observer to run, and then we need to stop the core observer. So simply we will going to do it is just mark it as disabled. Once it's disabled, then it will not run, it will not going to trigger when a customer login, but our observer will be triggered. So this will be an overrider of the Magento customer module observer. Now we have done this. What we need to do here is we go to the module and then we make it as dependent on Magento customer module. So we will type sequence and then module, and then we type our targeted module, which is Magento customer. So this module will be dependent on Magento customer. So Magento customer will run first and then our module will run last. Magento customer will parse the events and then create this event, and then our module comes after, will disable the Magento observer, and then will enable or will add our observer. So when we run the application, our observer will run, but the Magento customer observer will not run because we disable it here, and this is because it's dependent on the Magento customer, and also it disable it here. Now we are left with only one observer to run, which is the one we copied over from the customer module. Now let's go to the customer module, and then let's add a login. So logger, then we just initialize it, and then I will type this logger info unlock customer with ID customer get ID. Now when we log in, we will get this message to be logged in the system.log file. Now we have this. We are successfully overridden the core observer. Now what we need to do here is we just need to run php and Magento cache flush config, because we made changes to the configuration. So we do this just to flush the config, and also we might need to block HTML and full page just in case. Now we flush the cache. So basically what we need to do to create account really quickly, Alaa, Al-Maliki, then need email, then password information, create account. Now we created the account. What we need to do is log out, and I'm going to var log. I will delete all log files, and here I will sign in. Now it's my email and then my password. We hit sign in, and now we check the system log, and we should see unlock customer with ID 2. So this means this observer being triggered, and also it means this one is disabled because we marked it as disabled here. And in this way we overridden the Magento customer observer and then added our own observer to run instead of this observer, the customer login success observer. This is for observers, but also can be applied to the plugins in a similar way by disabling a plugin and then adding your own plugin. I hope this is useful. Please like and subscribe if you like video, and I'll see you next time.